Hey y'all, we are back with another episode of Good Grief with Auntie Bird. I know it's been a while, but mind your business because life be life and you already know. So don't ask me no questions. But I'm here. I hate when people say I'm here with a special guest. I'm here with a special guest. But really, like, she is a special guest and a friend for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like over 10 years now.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Ooh, bitch, you old.
Right. We are friends more than 10 years.
That is crazy. Yeah, so over 10 years. And she has a really incredible story to me. And I think it'll be a cool thing for her to share. Like I said before, I wanted to start exploring different parts of grief and how they may show up for other people. It's not just a physical death or, the loss of a person. I think grief can show up in many different ways. And I think like your story is absolutely incredible. And I want you to introduce yourself and then we can kind of get into it because
right.
I'm going to ask her a lot of questions, y'all. Like questions that I don't think I've asked you in a long time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Cherelle, but Cherelle, you can introduce yourself because I know she goes by other names as well.
It's mostly Cherelle though. Cherelle, you might see me on the internet, CJ, Egypt, something, but just mostly Cherelle. And I don't know what else should I introduce about myself.
I don't know. She does things, and she's like this incredible person.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, right now, I've been a wife. Ooh. And doing physical therapy. Yeah, that's actually I think being a wife was like a desire of mine. Some people want that.
Yeah, being a wife is.
Yeah,
I want that too.
Probably like might be number one. It's like what to be. Yeah. So
being a wife is
lit. That. Yeah. I sing sometimes.
Exactly. I was about to say, stop acting like you don't do these other things.
Yes, I sing sometimes. Honestly, since me and my husband got married, the video, our creative side has just slowed down, and we have a whole room at the house that we've made a little studio room, but it's about to pick back up. So I sing, make some YouTube videos, a little bit of content on Instagram, and yeah.
See, she be trying to hide when people try to hide their stories, but
I'd be humble, very humble.
Right. So Cherelle and I actually met in college at Savannah State University, and we're part of. Well, you started at 11 in the morning, then LA Nation.
Yes.
Shout out to LA Nation.
Yes.
Woo, woo. So we were in a modeling group together, and we just kind of grew closer.
Yeah.
Just our little friend circle was. Yeah. We're just really tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Once we got loving more, it's like that little group. It just stuck.
Yeah. And then we hung out after college a bit. They were like my little sisters. I'm older than them, not that much though.
Yeah,
he's
trying to Auntie Bird to us,
right? Big sister, right? Yes. So, but I wanted to share some of your story because I was a part of the beginning of this new form of who you are. Yeah. So, I guess you want to explain
everything
that happened and how how this happened.
So of course this is some years ago, it was actually 2016.
It was 16.
And New Year's Eve is actually my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
So ever since I was a kid, I love New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So always on New Year's Eve, I'm if I don't see y'all Christmas, Thanksgiving, I'm gonna see y'all New Year's Eve. We're gonna go out, we're gonna do something. So
but it's also always crazy is that the 2 or 3 New Year's Eves prior we were together as well.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I think me and Imani, we had done New Year's Eve together every year. Every time. Year. Yeah. Whether I went to see her or what, it was, I don't know, New Year's Eve's always been a thing to me.
Yeah.
So it was New Year's Eve once again.
Yep.
And we're getting together and we're getting ready to go out, and we rode with a friend of a friend of a friend, and where do we go? We went to Cafe Circa on Edgewood. Yes,
that was the first stop.
Yes, we were there, and I think we went somewhere else, a tavern place, or were we? I don't know.
So
I can't. I remember us going to Edgewood. I know that for sure.
Yeah, we went to. Okay, so I remember this part, right? Wait, do you mind if I hop in on it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
So we went to Cafe Circle on Edgewood. Had a whole little section. Everybody, we were going crazy.
Yes, that's okay. I didn't know the name. I thought we were at like Tavern something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. We were in Cafe Circle and we were having a good time, and we were about to leave because we were supposed to go to the next spot.
Yes.
But we were supposed to meet up at Gino's for pizza.
Yes, we were like, let's eat.
Yeah. So we were supposed to meet up at Gino's for pizza, and then we were going to go to the next spot. So we ended up splitting up.
Yes, we ended up splitting up.
Yeah.
Yes, because I remember because the friend of a friend of a friend who we had came there with. So I don't know. Somebody else said well, I don't know if you can name who you rode in the car with or.
Yeah. So I rode in the car with, it was me, Imani, and Emerald.
So you guys were in Emerald's car.
Yeah, we were in Emerald's car.
So we were leaving and it was crazy because like, not that we're like wild, crazy drunks or anything, but like that night I feel like all of us, or at least me and like, I felt like most of us, we had like maybe like one drink.
Yeah.
Like, we weren't
drunk.
Drinking.
Yeah, we weren't drunk.
Yeah, we were drunk. We were like, yeah, let's
we were hungry.
Yes, we were hungry. We were like, let's go get something to eat.
Yeah.
And then my coat was left in that other car. And like, I distinctly remember like one of like my last memories, like the last before the last is like me and Imani like getting ready to split and go on opposite sides of the street, and she was like, Cher, are you coming? And I was like, well, I'll just ride with them because my coat is in that car, and it was like beginning to rain a little bit. And so that's how I ended up in that car and not in the car with you and Emerald and
I
Imani.
didn't know that because it definitely was another spot there. I didn't know.
Yes, yeah, because
I didn't know that was the reason that you got in that car.
Yeah,
because nobody really knew him except a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that person was in like a totally different condition than like we were in.
Yeah.
Which was like unbeknownst to me because otherwise I would have been like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go with you. And then, so after we separated, we made a stop at another place for him to chat with a friend or something like that, pick somebody up.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting out of the car. And then when that next person got in, I ended up being in the middle seat of the truck.
Wait, so somebody else got in the car?
Yes.
I know it was the mom.
Yes.
And then I would know it was you.
Yes.
And our friend.
Yes.
Oh, and then it was the other girl.
Yes, somebody else. Yeah, I cannot remember where we got her from, or because the memories start to get like thin as it gets closer and closer to like.
Oh, for some reason I thought she was with us that night, but
the whole time.
No.
Or unless we just happened to swap out seats, because the thing is, at the time I smoked. So I had like literally in my jacket pocket, I had like one cigarette, and I was like, I'm gonna smoke. I was like, this is gonna be the last cigarette I smoke, while we waited for him to come back. Yeah. Like no more. Like I was like, I'm gonna quit after this, and then I was just waiting for him to come out. That's why I got out of the car. But no, the other person wasn't there when we made this stop at this other club, when he wanted to like speak to somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I smoked my last cigarette. I put it out and I got back in the car, but I ended up, like I said, so we got somebody else, so I ended up in the middle seat.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find the seatbelt, and I'm like, okay, we're not going that far.
Right.
I should be okay.
Right.
And I remember we were coming to an intersection, and he was like, driving a little bit erratic.
Yeah.
And our friend was like, hey, you need to drive right because you're not the only person in the car.
Yeah.
And then after that, I don't really remember anything. I just remember waking up in the hospital, and my mom was like, well, you've been in a bad car accident. And I was like, really like dozing off and stuff like that. So I didn't really understand anything fully until days. I mean, it could have been like maybe a week or two later that I really understood like what was going on.
Yeah. I remember us being at Geno's waiting for you guys to pull up. And I remember, I think it was our friend that called E-Money. Mm-hmm. And I can say our friends, Ish. I can say our friend's name.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Ish called E-Money. And it was Emerald, me, E-Money sitting kind of like how we're sitting now,
Yeah.
gobbling down some pizza. Ish calls E-Money. And E-Money is like, what? Like her whole body language changed.
I can imagine.
So I distinctly remember this. I remember Emerald looking at me. I'm looking at Imani, like, what's happening? Imani gets off the phone. She's kind of like flustered and all over the place, you know. And they were telling us that, you know, you were having to like go to the hospital and how they had to like get you out the car. Ish was telling us that she had like maybe a slight concussion.
Yeah.
And of course there was nothing really wrong with.
Yeah.
Right.
The other people, yeah.
And I just remember Emerald and I like looking at each other and like, okay, let's hurry up and like get in the car and try to go find out what's happening. I remember going to the hospital, and because I don't know if they couldn't find your ID, I don't know what it was, but we couldn't get any information on you.
Right.
Yeah, like at all for a long time. Like
yes.
Yeah,
my
like
mom
that
was
whole
freaking
night.
out.
Yeah, like that whole night we didn't get any information on you, like at all.
Oh my
we were
gosh.
sitting down in Grady's emergency room, and Imani's like kept going up to the days, and I was like, bitch, they gonna put us out. But like Money kept going up. She was like, no, my best friend came in, she's come in already, like the ambulance already put her in. Anybody got any information on her? Like she kept going up to her, but because I guess they couldn't find like your ID,
they couldn't.
So it was kind of like
my purse was still in the car.
So it was like oh shit, like what just happened? We were just supposed to meet up for food, and now like half of the group
chaos.
Yeah, it was like total chaos. But I just remember that moment very vividly, like, oh shit, like Emerald was looking at me, I'm looking at her like, okay, we just need to get the fuck up and leave, because now we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you're kind of out of the days, right? And you start to realize like what happened. So what are they telling you that's going on?
Well, honestly, like, they told me I was in an accident. I believe that they told me that I had broken my neck. But nobody ever like explicitly like told me that I was paralyzed. I just like after a little while, I kind of like started to wonder why I wasn't like getting up to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, why am I not getting up to go to the bathroom? And then like, well, you have a catheter or whatever. And then like when like the paralysis first happens, like your body, it's like you can still feel your body. Well, I mean, I can still feel my body now, but it feels like it might be doing things that it's not doing. Like I might think that I had my arms crossed when they were like down by my side with like IVs and stuff in them and stuff like that. So it's like I slowly started to realize like, oh, okay, like
you started to realize it before they actually told you.
Yeah, before anyone told me.
What was that like?
I was just like, I don't think it had fully clicked yet, but I think that I was just like, okay, like this is happening. I just need to take this one step at a time. So like the first step is I had this breathing tube down my throat, and I'm like, okay, I got to be able like to get this breathing tube out. So they took it out, but then they had to do the trach. Yeah. And so I did the trach, and then I was able to go to rehab at Shepherd. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to rehab and everything will be good. Like I'll go there, we'll exercise, and it'll be fine. They'll get me off the trach. They'll, you know, I'll recover and I'll be good. And like, that was my sentiment, that like when I left the hospital, like everything would be good and it would be going back to life as normal. But that wasn't the case. And it kind of, I guess like in like an over optimistic sense, like I was hoping that was the case for like a long time. But at some point, like I started to realize it, and then that's when like the grief like started to come. Like I was realizing that this is like an extremely long road that I was just like not prepared for once like people started doing things for me. And like I realized like, okay, like you got to dress me, you got to help me get up. In the beginning, like I couldn't even feed myself or like do anything. So it came like in a odd, surreal way, but like as grief does, it comes like in like waves. And so it's like the first wave I was just like, okay, like, so you're probably not gonna be just all well when you get home. And then so that was like the first, probably I'd say like wave of grief.
So you were in the car with this friend of a friend. This thing happened. Did he ever reach out to you?
No, he never reached out to me.
Today, like to this day?
No, I've never spoken to him again after that happened. I had, my things were still left in the car, so my parents had to retrieve them. So I believe my dad saw him and spoke to him and was telling him like that my condition was very bad. It was very bad. Like,
how did your dad say he responded?
He said that he responded like very nonchalantly, and he was like, you know, like, I'm so sorry that happened. My mom broke her leg. And like,
I remember they said she like shattered her knee or something.
Or something. So that happened, and he never reached out, never said, I'm sorry. How are you? Do you need a ride to the store?
You know what's crazy, Cherelle? You made me just think about this. I remember coming up to the hospital. I think it was like a couple of days. Whenever you got the trach.
Yes, it had to be maybe like that had to be like going into month 2, because I had got off of the breathing machine and I was weaning off. I was learning to breathe on my own again.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was like closer to the accident that I came. Maybe you didn't have a trach. You had something in your throat.
Yeah, they had me intubated. And a feeding tube.
It was like you couldn't talk.
Yeah, I couldn't talk.
But before we got to you, I think it was me and Imani. We were coming down the hallway at Grady, or was it Georgia Baptist?
No, it was Grady. It was Grady.
And I remember seeing his mom. His mom was in the wheelchair. She had a gown on, and her knee was busted up. And I don't think she knew. No, yes, she did. She knew what happened to you because your dad was standing outside. Your dad was standing right there. That was my first time ever meeting your dad. And I just remember this look on your father's face, like, not that, like, do you know what your son did to my child, but like, do you know? You know, because I don't think she fully knew exactly what happened. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I remember that me and Imani was looking like, because we didn't know that she was as injured as she was either, because she couldn't walk. But anywho, so he hasn't reached out to you?
No, he hasn't reached out ever.
At all?
His mom hasn't reached out to check or anything like that. No, I think a long time ago, my mom might like found her on Facebook or something like that. And I can't remember. She may or may not have said something to her, but she just like blocked her and didn't say anything.
Wait, his mom blocked your mom?
Mm-hmm. Horrible.
Wait, what?
Or it's some terrible people in this world. That's horrible.
Wait, what?
Yes,
okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Okay.
This had to be maybe like late 2017 or 2018. It was still really early on, like within a year or so. And they're just like, didn't say no fruit basket, no
edible arrangements,
no nothing.
So, like, what did that do to you and like thinking about him? Because I would have had some, I don't know, I would have had some hatred
definitely.
in my heart.
I definitely had some hatred in my heart, because I'm like, you got me into this accident. You were the one who was drinking too much. I'm like, me and my friends were not even drunk. Like, why didn't you just say, can one of y'all drive? Like, your car wasn't new. Like,
do you feel like when he came out the club, he had done like some drugs or something?
I don't know what he did in there. Honestly, I was like hungry and tired. Like, the last text message I sent was to Curtis. He's my husband now, but he was my boyfriend then. The last text I sent was, I'm just really tired. I'm probably going to go ahead and drive home tonight. Because, of course, if I couldn't drive home, then I was going to stay where Imani and Ish were.
Yeah.
So, I texted him and I was like, yeah, I'm going to come home tonight. So I don't think, I didn't think that he was very intoxicated, but obviously
he was.
He was. Yeah. And I just thought that, if me and my 10 aren't drunk, you aren't drunk either.
Exactly.
Number 11.
Exactly. Exactly.
But apparently that was not the case. So he may have drank more. He may have done drugs. But yeah, I definitely had some hatred in my heart because I'm like, this should be you.
Yeah.
You're not even a good person. Like, this should be you.
And then nothing happened to him. Like, he wasn't hurt.
No, like he was fine. No, he was on the side of the road lying while
what was he lying about?
Me and your mother are unconscious in the car. Like, he was telling them like, oh, lie for me, say the driver ran off, I wasn't the one who was driving, and like your mom's, I'm laying next to her and she's unconscious, so she could be dead, but let's just lie about who's driving
just so I can save myself, even though
from going to jail, even though you could be literally not with us anymore.
Yeah. So what did, like, you got hate, but like, I don't know, Cherelle, are you forgiving this man? Like, what is that looking like?
For me,
because bitch, what?
I mean, and that's so, like, I always say that when people be like, oh, the police shot my son or something. I'm like, well, you got the right one, because I'm not going to be on camera forgiving you or whatever. But I would say I don't have that hate in my heart anymore. And I think because I started to realize what it was doing to me. Like, I would be out and like, like he's a gay male or whatever. And like, if I would be like around a gay male, like I would not like them. I would hate them. I would have a problem with them.
Yeah.
And I don't even know them. And I'm like, this is making me a hateful person, and hateful people don't go to heaven.
So they don't.
So I'm like, I'm not, no. So I'm like, I need to let this go and move on. And I just chalked it up to things happen. Like, this is life. Life is real. Like, stuff is gonna happen. If I didn't end up with a chair, somebody, somebody could rob you, stab you. You could, things happen, and it's most likely gonna be another person who does it to you. And you can't walk around hating them for the rest of your life, causing you to hate other people, because now I'm hating strangers because you're a bad person.
You're a bad person.
Yeah, no.
It's crazy how that happens though. Like, one bad apple can spawn a whole bunch. Like, legit. Like,
and that's me. I was like, I get why people can be like situationally like racist now or something. They're like, this black dude killed my mom. I don't like black people. Like, no, you hate him. You stop hating him.
But be careful how you treat people, because you don't know how that spirals into other things. You don't
know how it can change somebody.
Like, bitch, now my hair hanging out. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was. I was like, I felt really bad. Like, after a while, I was like, because I was like, why do I have like negativity? Like, why am I feeling negativity right now? And it happened a couple more times, and I was like, I have a problem with gay men now. And I'm like, this is your fault.
You did this.
Right? Of course. Like, I would never just, like discriminate against somebody, but I did. I felt like that negativity, and I was like,
do you feel pity for him?
I do. Because you're like, I would not want to be somebody who is that self-centered and like ungiving, like unremorseful, like you don't care, like that. Like, people, like, we're made for each other. We're here to care about each other and to help each other out, and to be someone that, like, I could not imagine like wrecking a car and my mom being in there. And I'm not like literally trying to get her out. Like,
also, let's put into perspective, everybody else in the car was hurt except this person.
Except the driver.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're like the well person. Everyone's like, oh, and you're like, tell them it wasn't me. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. So I would never want to be somebody like that. So I can't even walk around, live your life, make a lot of money. That's good for you, because
you're still
you're still a very bad person.
That has to be eating this, like, I don't know, if I would have done that, like, that would have eaten me up on the inside.
Like, can you imagine, like, drastically change somebody's life like that? no. I would, no, sir.
And then get mad at the other friend because she shared a post.
Yeah. Like, you're
Okay.
going to get mad because like, this happened.
This
She didn't, there's no
happened.
lies.
It's no lie. This happened.
This happened.
Like,
yeah. Like, the car looks like, honestly, the car looked like total fatalities
Yeah,
to me.
it
Like,
does.
when I saw the photo, I like literally cried and like, thank God. Like,
Yeah.
because just looking at it, I'd be like, I could be dead.
Yeah,
I
that
could be
car
dead.
was gone.
Yeah.
It
I'm
was
surprised
gone.
anybody made it out.
Yeah.
But
This nigga made it out walking.
right.
That's
Lying.
it. Lying.
But yeah, that's yeah.
Damn. I've always wanted to kind of ask. I think we touched on it before, but that was something I've always wanted to ask you. I just didn't want to make this the moment
I
that
know,
kind
like,
of was
but,
about him.
yeah.
But it's like that's a huge part of the story.
Yeah, when somebody else does something that literally affects your entire life, like that, they become
A part
a
of
part
it.
of your story, like
Yeah.
a major part, especially if
Yeah.
it's something tragic. Like, you're not gonna ever forget who that person is. So,
If you could say anything to him, if you were standing here right now, you can say anything to him. What would you say?
oh my gosh, I'd be like, oh, I don't even know what I would say to him. Probably, I like really want the best for you. Like, I really, yeah. Like, I hope God changes your life. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's probably what I would say. Yeah. Like,
Oh,
I
wow.
hope God changes your life. 'Cause that's really sad to be somebody like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's probably what I would say.
If optimism had a picture next to it, it would be Cherelle.
Oh my gosh.
Because this is amazing. Okay. Yeah.
No, that I got
What
to.
was a thing that clicked to you? Because I know you just said like at some point you had to realize, or you started to realize like, hey, things aren't going to be the fucking
Yeah.
same. So like, what was the thing that you started to miss the most? Like, what was the thing that you grieved the most in the beginning? Because literally your whole being changed.
Everything changed.
Yeah.
I would say in the beginning, I honestly missed like probably like feeding myself,
Yeah.
my own self,
Yeah.
and like being able to have like any privacy because I was at Shepherd for like 4 months and like I had become like so independent, and I've always been like an independent person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to like ask anybody for anything, you know?
Yeah.
And so that, like, being that person and then having to ask for like everything. And then
Everything.
you'd be like, you can't be alone because you need to ask for something, you know, like when
Yeah.
people like weren't in my room, which I'm thankful because when I stayed at Shepherd for those 4 months, I was able to have like my family, my friends, my now husband, like
Yeah.
they were able to rotate and like spend the night there with me. Like, I spent only one night there by myself. Like,
Yeah.
like there were people there all the time, which I'm thankful for. But then at the same time, you're like,
I just want.
I just want to be alone.
Did you feel like in the beginning that you ever had that time, like mentally, to like sit with it, or was it just so many people that you didn't have a moment to sit with some things?
I think I did, because of course there you have, like, I would have someone with me at night and people would, you know, come take care of me during the day, but they put you through like a really rigorous schedule. So like that you accomplish a lot and know everything that you need to know about your new life before you leave. So, like in between those moments when I would go from like one class to another, you know, doing these things, like I would have moments in my room where I would, you know, be like, okay, like we're here in this situation. Like, I know the first time I got to look in a mirror was actually like, it was actually like relieving for me because like, it was like kind of nice because I was like, oh, I can see myself, like, I'm still the same person. Like, I'm like, I have this chair and everything like that, but I'm like, okay, so like, this isn't that bad. Like, I'm still myself. This is just a different condition. But yeah, I remember like distinctly one time I was like in the gym and people are exercising and working out, and these are people with all different levels of spinal cord injuries because it's like a spectrum. Like somebody can break their neck the same way I did, but they could be walking or they could be like bedbound. You know, it's just, you don't know. And this guy was like working on standing and walking, and I was like just, you know, sitting there, and I saw that and I was like really happy for him. But when I like went back to my room and I was by myself, I was like, why can't that be me?
Yeah. I was about to ask you while you were in Shepherd, because I knew a friend who worked there, and I know the type of workouts that they put you through. Like, I was gonna ask you, like, were you ever kind of jealous of or like envious of like other people, not in a fuck you type of way, but more of like, why am I not getting, because you were optimistic. You're very much optimistic. Exactly. And I think anybody would be in that time frame, like, oh, it's gonna be me, I'm in this chair right now, but I'm gonna get up and start walking again. And I remember you and I having a conversation when I used to come and do your hair, and you were like, yes, no, I'll be walking, you know, like I'll be walking again. So like, was it ever a moment outside of him that you were like, or even if you see people in the streets or whatever, like, damn,
I mean, definitely. And like a lot of times I would see people there when I was in the hospital, or even like after I got out and I was at home, like I would be like a little bit envious of people who are just like completely able-bodied and they don't have anything. But I would be like really envious of people who, you know, that who are disabled, and you're like, they're like a paraplegic and they could do everything themselves. And I'm like, me personally, with my personality, and like you said, like I'm really positive, like to be like in a wheelchair but I still like can use my hands and do everything, like, oh, that would have been no problem. Like I'd have been like, this isn't even a thing. But I'm pretty sure God was like, that adversity is not, it's not enough for you.
It's like you can put a little bit more on it.
You can have a little bit more. But I would kind of be a little envious of that. But I would think, like, you know, at the same time, I have to be thankful for the abilities that I do have, because it could be much worse, because I fractured every vertebrae in my neck except for C7.
And what was C7?
C7 is the last vertebrae in your neck until you get to like the thoracic spine region, which is like the top middle of your back and stuff like that.
So if you would have injured C7, you wouldn't have been able to move your neck or anything?
No, I mean, at that point, like from 1 to 7, it's like, I won't say it gets less important, but it takes away less function. So C1 is like, if I would have fractured it worse, like I could be like not able to like talk or swallow or things like that. So I did all the worst ones, but luckily like my injury level is like at a C3, C4, so I have like function in my arms and stuff like that, and like activation in different muscles and things. But like some people have my same injury and, you know, they don't have any function in their arms, or they really, I mean, they can get out of bed, but they don't, because it's like you can't use your arms. You have to use like a sip and puff to blow, which I was in that position.
I was about to say, I remember it was a point that you didn't have any movement in your arms. When did you start to develop that again?
It had to be, maybe I started moving this arm first, maybe about a month or so in, just very small movements. And like, that's why Shepherd is such a great place, because I had just that small bit of movement, and they were able to like work on that so much to where I could do different things, or at least like try to feed myself, try to use my phone and things like that when I left. And then of course, once I left, there was still like so much more development that had to be done. But I couldn't move anything, and that's what makes me like think back and be grateful, because it's like you could have never gotten past that point. Like you could just, you know, you could be unable to drive your chair, use your phone, and have as much freedom as you do. So I'm still grateful.
How did this, and I'm only putting myself in this because I came to your house a few times, but like I remember coming to your home, and your mom and your aunt and your dad, they kind of like took shifts. But like, of course, I get to leave You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, bitch, life happens after my hair done. You know? So like, how in the beginning, how was this when how did it affect like your family and the dimension of your family, like bringing people back in, taking people back out, you know, like because your mom and dad weren't together, but at that point they had
Right.
to like
Yeah. They had to like team together.
they had to team together. So like, how was that dynamic? Like, what shifted?
So pretty much, I mean, when I left and came back home, I mean, even before that, it's like all of my family kind of came together. So now, like, where my dad, you know, him and I were a little bit closer
Yeah.
by, you know, that time when I got into the accident.
Yeah.
But after that, like, of course, I would see him much more. And then
Yeah.
he was around my mom much more, my brother, and just like all, like, both sides of my family really came together.
Yeah.
But that kind of little, like, nuclear family
Yeah.
that I have there, it's definitely, like, much closer now
Yeah.
because of, you know, a tragedy, you
Yeah.
know. But, yeah, but now everybody is much closer. Like, I've always been like close with my mom or whatever,
Yeah.
but of course we're like much closer now, and she still lives with me and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so everybody stepped in and was like a really good village. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I was like served, you know, or dealt like a hard card, but then
Yeah.
it's like God's like, I'll give you everything that you need to deal with it though. So it's like
Yeah.
I can't
Really complain.
I can't complain. Yeah.
Did you ever start to feel like tension because it's a lot? Like it's just it's a lot. And
Yeah.
you, as a human, even though I may be like serving you, or even though I may be the one getting served, there's still, to me, there still would be some type of like, damn, okay, either y'all leave me alone, or the person who's doing the serving kind of gets a little, like, they just kind of get burnt out a bit. Like, so did you
Right.
ever experience any burnout from that? Because I can only imagine, because their whole
Yes, yeah, and
everything
of course,
changed.
and people like even with my mom or my husband or anyone that's been like they're like my two main caregivers besides people that are like hired. So of course, like there are times when they get like a little bit burnt out, and in the beginning, it was very difficult for me to like not internalize
Yeah.
other people's struggles surrounding my injury. So
Because you have this huge thing that just happened to your whole,
Right.
like, my whole world completely
yes.
changed. Yeah.
So like when someone is, you know, extremely tired and they just got off of work and they drive from Duluth to Atlanta
Yeah.
to, you know, like be with me at Shepherd, but like I need this, or, you know, I need a coffin, I need you to call the nurse, or I need you to do this. And
Yeah.
it's like their frustration is not actually like with me.
Yes.
It's just like
life.
it's just a life, you know,
Yeah.
frustration. So but it was really hard in the beginning for me to not internalize it and take it as like they're like upset with me, or that they're actually tired of me being around.
When did you internalize that it wasn't personal?
I don't even know. I think it kind of gradually came over time, and the way that like I'm kind of set up, like I think it had to be like 2013. I don't know why like such a specific year, but like
2013.
I like decided that like I didn't want to like stress anymore, and I didn't want to like worry anymore. So I literally just like made that decision. So after that, I kind of didn't allow how other people's moods and reactions affected how my mood was. So I think after a little bit, when I was like, I got a little bit more comfortable with people doing things for me, if like there was like some burnout, which after I got a caregiver, it definitely helped a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still like, you know, it's a 24/7
Yeah.
like situation. So, I lost my train of thought.
No, it's cool. Like the whole
Yeah.
burnout and
Yes. Yeah. So then I just started to realize like that's just their emotion or feeling right now towards life and things that are happening in life and not like towards me. So it helps me keep like a calmer attitude. And then, you know, I can give them, you know, some of that calm energy. And then it's like, okay, like this isn't that big of a deal. I don't have to get upset, but you know.
Yeah. Like, so I know you are this very, like, she's extremely optimistic, if you guys, and just positive. And honestly, like, Cherelle has always, since I've known you, you've always been like who you are right now. You've always been this person. I also remember being like, I admired you so much for like being and I feel I thought I shared it with you, but like I admired you for being this person so much, like after this condition, after this thing happened, because I don't know that most people could even have that train of thought, you know, after something like that happens. But like, we're all human, right? So like, were there any moments where like depression set in? And if it wasn't, then that's great. Or, like, depression set in, or anxiety set in, or like negative thoughts, because the motherfuckers start creeping in. No matter how positive you try to be, like, they still kind of like, you know, step in. So were there any moments where some sort of fear stepped into your train of thought and you just wanted to be like, fuck it all?
Yeah, they definitely like, but I don't think I can fully say like I've had any like depression with this grief, because in my mind I'm like, I have to stay positive and optimistic, because like, until God's like, get up out of this chair, I'm in it. So am I gonna also be in the chair and also have bad days like continuously? Like, no. So there were like some days, especially like within the first year or two, where I would have like days where I would just like cry, and I'm like, this is terrible. And I mean, even now sometimes, but it's usually in like higher anxiety situations. Like, I would say like the last time I like cried about like my injury and just the situation probably be like when we moved, like me and my husband finally like moved in together.
We gonna get into this husband too.
So we finally moved in together, but with moving, like everybody knows, like moving is like tense.
It's stressful.
Yes, it's so stressful. And like moving. We were moving from two places to come like into one place. So of course he's going to help me move, whether I was in a chair or not, like he was going to help me move.
Right.
So like, you can help me move my stuff. But yeah, so you're moving my stuff and then your stuff. So then like, I think like the morning after that, like everybody is just tired and stuff like that. And you still like have like a whole person to kind of deal with and take care of. So I think then like, that was probably the last time that I cried, because in just like those, like I said, those high tension moments when there's a lot of anxiety, that's when it kind of like weighs on me that like I'm a completely different person.
So I was going to ask you how was that move, that transition, but before we go there, I do want to talk about you and this husband that she keeps mentioning, right? So I know you guys have been together for a long time.
Since we had been dating for literally like 5 months before I got into the accident.
Really? Why did I think it was? I thought you guys were dating like. Okay, I should have. I just thought y'all were dating the year before. Like, I remember. I feel like I remember.
No, that was somebody else.
No, that wasn't him.
That was somebody else.
Okay.
No, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was the New Year before.
No. Okay.
But no, I mean, we were hanging out. It was fine. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But 5 months. We were dating 5 months before my accident, and kind of when it happened, he was there a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say of course, because some people aren't like that. They would be like,
look
at you, girl.
Right.
5 months? Like,
it's not, isn't that this?
It's not
it.
Nothing. Yeah, but he was there a lot in the beginning, and I really like loved it and appreciated it when like I couldn't talk, and things were really new. But when it started to set in for me that like, this was going to be like a long journey, I had like told him, I'm like, hey, this is like not what you signed up for, I'm sure.
You had that conversation with him?
I told him. I was like, I would understand if you want to leave and go and live your life and run off with a running girl. Like,
sure.
Or, whatever. But,
girl, okay.
So, yeah.
It's funny. I'm not to cut you off. It's funny how grief shows up even when, like, you don't know it's showing up. Because in this moment, you're kind of grieving what could possibly not even happen, right? Like, no, you don't want.
I'm like, I've lost,
I've lost it all. So
let me just let it.
Let me let it go.
Let it all go now. Right. And he was just kind of like, okay, I understand, I hear you, or whatever. Like, but like, he just never left.
He never left.
Yeah. So So after that, I mean, he wanted to, learn everything like about my injury. He wanted to make sure. Like I told you before, he's like, oh, I need to make sure that it's accessible for you and get the address from her. And so he's just really caring like that. And he like just tells me like, cause you were like super caring to me in the beginning. He's like, no, like I might want to go get with somebody else who is able-bodied, but like, are they going to actually take care of me? Like, maybe not. So he stuck it through and has helped, and it's become an amazing problem solver. He's like super smart anyway. So
what was your thought process after he stayed? After you knew, like, you saw like, okay, he's not going anywhere and he's kind of taking this thing like serious, or like he's in it. Like, what was your thought process then?
Like, I was like, oh my God.
Were you afraid? Because that's a lot.
I was like, this is surprising. Okay. Like, he still wants to be around. And I like a lot of times, like you said, like the grief can show up and you don't even realize it. Like, I would be like thinking before like we got engaged, and I'm sorry, y'all, I say like a lot. I'm from Gwinnett.
Oh.
But, yeah. So,
yeah, okay.
So I would think like,
it's okay. I didn't even notice you were saying like, but
I hear it. So I would think that, he would leave me eventually, like, or that, like at times when.
Were you preparing yourself for that, like mentally?
I mean, a little bit, like but like you said, I was grieving things that weren't even gone, because it wasn't even like I was preparing myself, but it was like that I was just already like sad about it.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, this is somebody who I'm with all the time. He's somebody that like brings joy to my life, and when you have to always have somebody with you when you're doing something, like, you want it to be somebody who you enjoy being with,
and who they enjoy, like they enjoy being with you.
So I would get upset sometimes and think like, like, this isn't gonna last, this isn't. But he was still there. And then like one day we like to like go to the park and like just walk around and stuff like that, and he was asking me, so are you trying to be in this relationship, like, because I'm trying to do it like man. For the rest of our lives and stuff like that. So he was kind of like checking me to see like if I was prepared, and I was like, yeah, I want to be with you or whatever. So what was that? 2020 we got engaged downtown in the
Were you
Ferris
surprised
wheel. I was surprised, but I was also getting like little hints. Like, at the time, like, my nails weren't done, and he like kind of like talks about my nails one day. He's like, you haven't got your nails done, blah, blah. And I was like, why are you talking about my nails like that? And I was like, fine, I'll go get them done or whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna get them done Friday. And it was just, I don't know. I was getting little hints. And I was like, is he? But I don't know if
you knew it was coming.
I felt like it might be coming. but I didn't like know for sure. Like we kind of had that conversation, but this was like months before it happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of gone. I'm like, he may have said, you know, I'm trying to be with you forever, but
he did at the end.
Right, exactly. So but I was surprised. Yeah, because when we got in the Ferris wheel, it like went straight to the top, and then he's like, bam, down his knee. I was like, oh my gosh. So
how blessed did you feel? Well, of course you felt blessed, but like, was there a shift in optimism after you got married? Because at this point, you've accomplished things that people, able-bodied people, whatever, haven't even, you know, like
they might be,
or they may never get it. So like,
right.
What changed then? Like, I have this. Not that you don't deserve it, but it's like, at the end of the day, this thing happened to me, and I still have love. I still have somebody giving it to me. I'm still able to get married. Like, did something else shift in your head, or like?
Yeah, I think then when we got married, or even just after we got engaged, I was like, knowing the type of person that he is, I knew at that point, like, okay, we are gonna get married and we're gonna be together forever, because I just know his personality. Like, he's not gonna be like, oh, takes backs. Like, so it's too serious. So, but when we actually did, I was like, oh, like, so this really isn't stopping me, because actually I had told myself, maybe like a year or 2 years afterwards, and I was like, no, I'm not going to get engaged until like my fingers are working fine, because I'm not going to be engaged in like
limiting yourself on what can happen.
Yes. And then I'm like, I didn't even want to get engaged. If, you know, at one point, like, I didn't even want to get engaged because I wasn't physically the way that I wanted to be.
That's interesting, Cherelle, how we like stop ourselves. Like, how we think that we don't deserve something in the present time that we're in. Like, I have to look a certain way. I have to lose certain pounds. I have to be this. I have to make this before
I can get something.
Before I can get this blessing.
Right.
That's crazy.
Like, why would that?
Why
be
don't
thing?
you deserve it now?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't getting engaged until my motherfucking ass. Like,
right. Yeah. Who does that?
Wow.
But yeah, I did.
Because it's not even about that.
It's not about that at all.
He's not even marry your hand.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
But yeah, so after we got married, I think it was like, I felt like, like I did, even though this happened to me, I accomplished something that I wanted to accomplish, and I have like a good partner and somebody that I really love and I really like want to be with for the rest of my life. So that's a big thing. And like, having a partner, it just kind of, it increases your odds on everything. At least to me. Like, it's like,
I always say you're better together.
Yeah. So like, having a partner, then it's like, oh, so, you know, and he thinks of everything. Like, he's great. So it's like, on our honeymoon, we went to a cabin up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, or whatever. And so like, he's like, figure out how to get my chair up there, how to, you know, everything. And he's a great partner to have, like, in this situation. And I'm happy he stayed.
Yeah. What are you to him? Like, outside of being his wife, of course, like, I know he's these things to you, but like, you have to be this incredible
or something. I don't know.
Well, you are. You are. You know.
Yeah. So to him, I would say I'm definitely, which like, that's another thing. Like, with interabled couples, it's like,
is that what it's called?
Yeah, to be like with two different abilities. Yeah, there you go, guys.
Oh, but that's what my parents were.
Yeah.
They never said it.
But they didn't have words.
Oh, right, exactly.
It was like, she would that dude in the wheelchair.
In the wheelchair.
Yeah. So I totally forgot what you asked me.
I was asking, like, because he's all of these things for you, you have to be something.
What am I to him? Yeah. Being in this situation definitely made me realize that things that people can give each other, like, aren't all physical. Yeah. And like, people always tell you that in a sexual sense, but they never really realize it, that it goes like beyond that. Like, you could, I can't like get up and make him breakfast anymore like I would do before, but like he himself, like he's not going to remember to do that. So I have to say, get some breakfast before you get into work, or like check up on him to make sure that he ate, and make his doctor's appointments and stuff like that. So like
still been very wifey.
Yes. So like mentally, I know he says a lot of times that I like support him like mentally and emotionally, and like he really needs that support that, you know, I give him. And I'm like, well, that's really nice. I'm glad I can support you, because you think if you can't, you know, physically do somebody's laundry and fix them a meal, or, you know, pick them up from somewhere or something, that you're not useful to them. But you still are.
Do you feel like you deserve it? Do you feel like you deserve it all?
Deserve? I don't know. Deserve? I mean, I have no idea. I definitely would want it all. I definitely would want it all.
Why
I think I need it all. I don't know if I deserve it.
Yeah. Wouldn't you feel like you deserve it all? Like all that you have,
like I don't know what would make somebody deserving of like having all their needs met. Like everybody should, I guess, have all their needs met.
I ain't mean to go that deep,
but I don't even I don't even know. I don't know. I guess if thinking that everybody deserves to have their needs met, so I guess that I would deserve it. But it's like what makes somebody deserving?
What makes me different than
everybody
what makes me
else? Different? Yeah. Because there's some people that are in my situation and it's not. You know, it's not good.
If you could, like, if you can share with like anybody in general about a physical life change, if you can share with them like something inspiring, or like give them like words of encouragement, like what would it be? And it doesn't have to be cliche, it could be whatever you want it to be, but like I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like when shifts start to happen, a lot of people don't know how to pivot. And that's without a physical shift happening, right? But when a physical shift happens to you, it's like, what do I do? Because my whole normal
everything
is
thrown
because you
off.
have to relearn how to live.
You do,
right?
Everything.
You have to relearn how to do everything. So like, what are like some words of encouragement that you would give somebody who's like shifted in a physical sense?
I would definitely say you have to like almost become tunnel vision and take things one step at a time, and not let everything consume you. Just knowing that there's this big change going on, and you know who knows what that, you know, would be in somebody's life, but you've got to just be like one step at a time. Like when I was in the hospital, I'd be like, okay, I need to be able to feed myself or use this or that. Like it's just little bits of independence that I was working towards. So in any situation, you just need to find just one small thing to work towards. And while you're working towards that, like things are going to work itself out. Like life is continuing to move. So you have to keep moving.
Okay. Before we wrap this up, I have this thing that I want to like start asking people. Like about grief, and what do you believe that grief can do and will do for you in a positive sense?
Oh, in a positive sense. I think as someone who is like grieved themselves, in a sense that like it's not like somebody else is gone from my life. It's like my entire self left my life. Like I don't have that person anymore. Everything that you do to build yourself up to becoming someone, and then like just snatch it all away from you. That is like, it's jarring in a sense, but I think grief gives you gratefulness I feel like when it's not too heavy and you're not just deep in it, like, woe is me, why would this happen to me? But like when we're all here, like anything can happen to anyone at any time, you know? My caregiver always says that. But yeah, it makes you grateful.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what I've gotten most out of it, is that, you know, I have so much support, so much love, and even like the community of other people who are disabled, like you just meeting people from different walks of life. And so I'm just grateful, like, you know, God didn't have to keep me here. I could have left. I probably should have left. I didn't have on a seatbelt. Like I should have been on the street. Like
through the glass.
I should have been through the glass. I should have been gone. And so like I'm extremely grateful to still be here, you know, and through all circumstances. So
what do you want, and I'm gonna wrap this up. You just say, like, you say a few things, I'm just like, damn, that's real. Let me go back. Let me touch on grief makes you grateful, because that's something that I'm still working on, but I do feel that as well, because I think it starts to make you like recognize people who are in your corner that you not necessarily you took for granted, but it was like they're already here, so like they're gonna be here, right? But you start realizing how much of a role that they play in your life, and that they had already played, you know, or how much of a role that the things that you did in the past to kind of build you up to get to this point. Because like if you weren't positive before, it would have been hard as fuck for you to get optimistic now in this chair. So it's like the work that you did to get to this point mentally, you know, you have to be grateful for that person in the past, right? And I'm learning to be grateful for I'm learning to be grateful for the work that I did before tragedy happened, because if I didn't, I don't think I would
you would have made it.
You wouldn't have made it.
People don't make it all the time.
They
like, leaving here.
They up out of this bitch, y'all. I want to know, like, moving forward, what do you want your story to be, and what do you want people to learn from your story?
Oh, moving forward, what do I want my story?
Like,
to
what
be?
do you? What are you painting with this brush that you have now?
Right. I think I would want my story to be, of course, like everyone's going to say it's inspiring, but I want it to be like someone who continued to be themselves through adversity and learn how to add more tools along the way. And just that like anyone could do that in any situation. Like it doesn't matter if it's physical injury or death, or, you know, you have like addiction or something like that. Like it's always a way to be encouraged and get out of there. I want to, I would like to be, someone who took adversity and just continued on. It was like, forget this. Like, it's not going to
stop me.
It's not going to stop me.
It ain't gonna stop Cherelle, the most optimistic person I've ever met in my life.
Continue.
I call Cherelle my really poo, but like I really, really appreciate you. I admire you. Not even just because like this thing happened to you, but like just mentally, you kind of just represent what I kind of want to grow to be in like every aspect, is being optimistic. I think that's an incredible gift, and I don't take what you do for granted, but I know like a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people
it's like
don't have
literally a blessing.
I
have all glory to God, because if I was not as positive as I am and like try to turn it around and make it that way, like you said, like
Yeah, niggas ain't making it out
Yeah,
here. Yeah,
people are making it.
So I appreciate you and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course.
And I love you.
Yes, I hope I did some justice.
Yeah, you did. You did more than justice. This was absolutely beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank y'all for listening to another episode and watching another episode of Good Grief with Auntie Bird. This is Cherelle, the most beautiful person in the world.
Thank you.
And yeah, man, y'all, if you learn anything from this podcast, bitch, you better be optimistic. Okay?
Yes.
Get up out of here. All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.